70s, 80s, and 90s.
You're watching Channel 12, WKRC-TV Cincinnati. Live from your local news source, this is 12 News at 11.
A second lawsuit stemming from radiation tests conducted at UC's General Hospital threatens more than the university's reputation. It now aims to make the city pay up. Good evening. A new twist tonight in the uproar over radiation experiments at University Hospital back in the 1960s.
Another lawsuit is expected to be filed in federal court tomorrow on behalf of victims' families. This one could cost taxpayers plenty. 2 weeks ago, the first court complaint over the controversial medical test named the doctors involved. As 12 News reporter Elliot Lewis tells us, this new lawsuit goes one step further.
These are real people.
Catherine Hager claims her father, Joseph Mitchell, took part in whole-body radiation tests at what was then Cincinnati General Hospital in the mid-1960s. The class action suit Hager is now a part of asked for $87 million on behalf of 87 cancer patients involved in the experiments. The lawsuit claims the primary purpose of the tests was to provide information on radiation exposure to the Defense Department, rather than to treat cancer. And the suit contends patients involved never knew it.
It involves various legal theories relating to that, including essentially medical malpractice on the part of the physicians involved, civil rights violations on the part of the various defendants.
But attorney David Camp is not only pointing the finger at the researchers who conducted the test, but at the institutions involved as well. And that is what sets this lawsuit apart from one filed earlier this month.
We feel that there are grounds to include the University Hospital, and the city because they owned and operated the hospital at the time that these experiments were being undertaken.
But city leaders say while the city of Cincinnati may have owned the hospital some 30 years ago, they contend City Hall is not responsible for any medical malpractice that might have gone on here.
The trustees and the medical center have painted this issue saying that the city may be responsible, almost as if the city manager or city employees were the ones turning on the radiation machines.
When the experiments began, what is now University Hospital belonged to the city of Cincinnati. It wasn't until the mid-70s when the state took complete control. Either way, Councilman Yates says a local ordinance prevents the hospital from holding the city liable in such cases, but attorneys for the families involved claim they can prove otherwise. Elliot Lewis, 12 News.
The attorney filing the class action suit tomorrow, David Camp, says his case and the earlier complaint over the experiments may be tried together.
Can a 3-year-old child actually set out to commit murder? That's what Cincinnati police are trying to decide tonight after a 12-year-old has confessed to killing her cousin 10 years ago. The girl confessed to killing 13-month-old Lamar Howell in this over-the-Rhine apartment building when she was just 3 years old. The boy drowned in a mop bucket full of water and bleach. Police have charged the girl with murder and are holding her in juvenile detention, but those charges could be dropped.
We're not here to punish the 12-year-old. We're here to make sure that the 12-year-old gets whatever treatment is necessary to deal with this crisis in her life and to deal with the death of a 13-month-old child that she apparently feels responsible for.
Child psychologist Joyce DeVoe says it's difficult to know exactly what may have triggered this child's memory recall or how accurate it may be. In any case, she can't see any basis for a murder charge.
I think it's fairly improbable that a 3-year-old has the capacity to intend to murder. 3-year-olds are impulsive. They don't think ahead. They really don't comprehend death at all at that age. It's not a concept that's well developed.
Police officials will meet with county prosecutors tomorrow to determine how they will proceed. A freak skating accident has sent a 9-year-old boy to Children's Hospital in critical condition tonight. The boy apparently fell while roller skating at the Beachmont roller rink in Union Township. After the kid hit the ground, an adult accidentally fell on the boy's head. The boy sustained massive head injuries and was air cared to Children's Hospital around 3:30 this afternoon. The name of the youth has not yet been released.
10 worshipers are dead tonight. Another 60 are wounded after 2 bombs exploded in the Lebanese Catholic Church today. The blast tore through this church as dozens of people were receiving communion. The bombs were planted near the altar. The explosions occurred barely 48 hours after 43 Palestinians were massacred as they prayed in a West Bank mosque. Some Lebanese officials are saying the bombings are a cover-up for the mosque massacre. Others are saying it was a move to prevent a scheduled May visit from the Pope. Both President Clinton and the Pope condemned today's violence. And riots continue today in the occupied territories of the West Bank. The violence filled areas around Israel in the wake of Friday's massacre in a Muslim mosque. Protests by Arab Israelis were halted by police as they sprayed rioters with tear gas. Israel also tried to help stop the violence by placing a curfew on the West Bank villages. Israeli officials hope the anger will die down and peace negotiations can resume this week.
Despite objections from some groups today, the Brady handgun bill becomes law tomorrow. Protesters were out in downtown Cincinnati saying the soon-to-be law violates their constitutional right to bear arms. Proponents and lawmakers say the Brady law is intended to keep guns out of the hands of indicted or convicted felons. The law goes into effect tomorrow. It will require a 5-day waiting period and a background check before buying a gun. In Ohio, the background check will cost $15. So far, Kentucky is not charging a fee. Gun dealers say eventually the charges will be passed on to the consumer, but for now, they expect little resistance to the new law. If you travel on Beachmont Levee, you're going to need to find a new route beginning tomorrow. The levee shuts down at 9 a.m. tomorrow for 2 months, which means you're going to need to find an alternate route to get where you're going. Some suggested routes are Wilmer Avenue or Wooster Pike. A temporary lane in each direction will reopen in 60 days. The lanes will alleviate some of the traffic problems until the new viaduct is complete, scheduled for 1995. Traffic along the alternate route is expected to be heavy for the next few months.
Now a follow-up to a story we first told you about earlier this month. This is how Maria Gruder's car looked when we first visited her on February 18th. It was full of newspapers, garbage, and rats. So many rats that a pest control company was called in to exterminate the car. But today we spotted Mrs. Gruder and found her car garbage-free and, most importantly, rat-free. At one time, at least a dozen rats called this car home. Lorena Bobbitt is scheduled to appear at a hearing tomorrow, which may determine if she receives in- or outpatient treatment at a state hospital. Bobbitt was found innocent by reason of insanity. She was charged with malicious wounding. She used a knife to cut off her husband's penis. A Virginia judge is now set to decide her treatment and whether or not she can be released without treatment requirements. Meantime, her husband John is denying a British newspaper report that he is about to remarry.
A best-selling author is sharing her uplifting message with Cincinnatians tonight. Clarissa Piccola Estes is the author of Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's been on the bestseller list for over a year. The book's a collection of folk tales designed to empower women, all stories that she heard as a child.
I was born to a mestizo Mexican family, and as an older child I was adopted by immigrant Hungarians. And because no one could read or write, all the stories were handed down in the oral tradition. And so I was filled up with stories.
Estes is in town to help raise money for Equality Cincinnati. That group is $40,000 in debt after its unsuccessful campaign to defeat Issue 3, a measure which repealed gay rights protections in the city of Cincinnati.
It looks like a scene from the Hitchcock classic, The Birds. Life imitates art as one city comes under siege of vultures.
But first, in the summer of 1862, Cincinnati was under the gun as the Civil War closed in. Learn how local troops rallied to stop the siege of Cincinnati. You're watching 12 News, your local news source.
You're watching 12 News at 11 with Brad Johansson, Laverne Atkinson, meteorologist Mike Burrish, and Walt Mayer. This is 12 News, your local news source.
And the beat goes on. Your Tri-State Quality Ford dealer keeps the beat going strong with Ford Ranger and Ford F-150. Ranger, America's best-selling compact pickup for the 7th straight year. F-150, America's best-selling truck 17 years in a row. And the beat goes on. Don't miss a beat. For 5 of the 10 bestsellers in America, see your Tri-State Quality Ford dealer today. Your Ford dealer's got the beat. The beat goes on.
Folks, because of the horrible weather, Buddy's Carpet is stuck with a huge inventory that we must unload. So the prices till Wednesday night are insane, crazy, as low as $3.99 a square yard. And if you want Monsanto wear data with locked-in stain resistance that's certified and warranted by Monsanto, I'm talking about only $6.99 a square yard. $6.99. There's no interest or payments till September, but it ends Wednesday night at Buddy's Carpet.
12 First Video, your first look at breaking news, weather, and sports. Brought to you by 12 News, your local news source, and Ameritech Cellular.
This portion of 12 News is brought to you by your local Nissan dealers. Temperatures are rising, there's a fever in the air, and your local Nissan dealers are responsible with red-hot deals on some of the hottest cars on the road, like the sizzling lineup of Nissan sedans, the amazingly affordable Sentra, the ultra-luxurious Maxima, and of course the award-winning Nissan Altima GXE, with a lease of just $229 a month for 36 months, with $750 down. Nissan's Spring Fever sales event. You've got the fever, your local Nissan dealers got the cure.
Just a few minutes ago, you finished watching the ABC movie Heaven and Hell. You probably remember watching North and South Part 1 and 2. John Jake's Heaven and Hell is Part 3. It stars Leslie Ann Down, James Reed, Robert Wagner, Billy D. Williams, and Peter O'Toole. The movie focuses around two families who were very close until the Civil War broke them apart. After the Civil War is over, some of their lives are torn apart, and they struggle to rebuild. Cincinnati was a thriving town at the time of the Civil War. When Confederate guns opened up on Fort Sumter in April of 1861, residents felt secure. They were far from the front lines, buffered by neutral Kentucky.
But by late summer of 1862, Queen City residents found themselves in the crosshairs of Confederate sights. Tonight, 12 News historian Dan Hurley recalls the siege of Cincinnati.
In September 1862, Cincinnatians were panicking. Lexington and Cynthiana had already fallen, and the Queen City, America's third largest manufacturing center, was a tempting prize.
It was not really a matter of taking Cincinnati. It was a matter of threatening it, perhaps taking Newport and Covington, perhaps even crossing the river and occupying Cincinnati for a while.
General Lew Wallace, commander of the city's defenses, took dramatic action.
He declared martial law and declared that every adult male had to either become a shoveler on the trenches in northern Kentucky building the forts and the batteries, or be enlisted in the militia.
As many as 70,000 responded, including shop owners from Pearl Street and farmers known as squirrel hunters from throughout southern Ohio and Indiana. The plan was to quickly throw up an 8-mile-long semicircular defensive line of earthen forts, batteries, and rifle pits on the hilltops south of Covington and Newport. Anchoring either end of the line on Price Hill and Mount Adams were heavy cannon protecting the river approaches. Armed with rifles and shotguns, shovels and wheelbarrows, long columns marched across an ingenious pontoon bridge, floated in the shadow of the piers of the half-finished suspension bridge. In less than a week, the defenses were in place.
On September 10, in the morning at daybreak, General Lew Wallace and his men looked out of Fort Mitchell, and there were 6,000 Confederate veteran troops.
The breastworks impressed Confederate leader General Heath.
It didn't exactly appeal to march up these 300, 400-foot hills when you're facing cannon of 30 pounds, 32 pounds firing down at you. So as you looked at these hills, you not only saw the fort and the cannon and the rifle pits, but he saw the hill filled with Union blue. New Union blue, but Union blue nevertheless.
After a very tense day and a few skirmishes, the city's defenders awakened on the morning of September the 12th to discover that the Rebs had skedaddled. Within hours, the triumphant defenders began marching back into Cincinnati to a wild celebration. After the Rebs skedaddled, General Lew Wallace called together his troops to congratulate them. He predicted that history would record that the siege of Cincinnati was broken not by men wielding guns, but by men wielding shovels to build earthworks like Battery Shaler here in Southgate. Dan Hurley, 12 News.
If you were wondering, Fort Mitchell and Fort Wright are named after this Civil War effort. Fort Thomas, however, was named after a Civil War general when the Newport barracks were moved to higher ground. Tomorrow night, Dan's series continues with a look at the life of Cincinnatians who responded to Lincoln's call for volunteers.
Coming up, prisoners of a maximum security prison go on the rampage. Plus, flames and fumes from this train derailment forces hundreds from their homes.
But first, local high school students take out the competition with this high-tech invention. And Mike, what does your high-tech equipment tell us about the weather tonight?
Well, it's telling us there could be some more snow headed toward the tri-state area. I'm meteorologist Mike Burrish. Your forecast is coming up next.
It's the bloodiest war America has ever seen, and Cincinnatians responded to President Lincoln's call. Cincinnati's involvement in the Civil War. Tomorrow at 11, only on 12.
This is what we wanted to do with our life. And the best thing is I'm doing it right here in my hometown.
For the information you need, the forecast you rely on. 12 News, the Weather Authority, your best choice in bad weather.
I want the truth, not a song and dance. I want better, not more expensive. I want a car I can afford and like. Hey, I just want my money's worth. Okay, actually, I want more than my money's worth.
Perkins presents Dinner with No Reservations.
The shrimp boats are on their way, they're coming into the bay.
And that means Perkins' Shrimp Feast is back again. 18 plump golden shrimp, fries, slaw, and onion rings. All for a song. Dine out tonight with no reservations. Perkins, breakfast, dinner, and everything in between.
Start with the basics and get an extra bonus from McAlpin's. Don't miss your one chance to buy 2 bras and take home 3 from Warner and McAlpin's. 1 + 1 = 3 on our entire stock of Warner bras in the style and look you want. Now, you buy 2 and take home 3. And to ensure the proper fit, meet with our figure control experts.
This portion of 12 News is brought to you by RE/MAX. If you're looking to buy or sell, look for RE/MAX out in front.
What's your idea of the perfect town, the perfect home? Whatever it is, RE/MAX can help you find that perfect spot. RE/MAX sales associates across North America outsell other real estate agents 3 to 1. So they have lots of experience making wishes come true. You'll find RE/MAX just about anywhere you might want to live, because we don't think any dream home should have to remain a dream forever. If you're looking for a home, look for RE/MAX out in front.
Mike Burrish has earned the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval for excellence in weathercasting.
Some Walnut Hills students brought home top honors for this world-class robot. The Walnut Hills kids won an annual science and technology competition called US First. 43 other schools competed nationwide, and each school was to create a remote-controlled robot from the same parts, and US First we started the program 3 years ago to encourage youngsters to pursue scientific careers. That is a big deal. Congratulations to them.
It looked pretty interesting.
We had a lot of sunshine today.
Yeah,
we
it was
did.
Nice.
Hope you enjoyed it.
It was cold, though.
Oh, boy.
It was chilly, but it's on the way out. We have some clouds moving in. But this storm system is not something we need to really panic about. There's going to be some snow. It'll probably mix with a little bit of rain, but you'll be able to get around. You'll be able to travel. You can't drive in rain. I guess you won't be able to drive the next few days, but otherwise we'll be fine.
Above freezing, too, right?
Yeah, generally above freezing. It's kind of a warm storm system, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later.
Storm.
Yeah, it's
an
typical early spring type storm. Yeah. You know, we're getting out of that time of season where you get a lot of cold air with them and so on. So let's head on outside this evening and into some of the fairly nice weather we had. Again, it is a little bit chilly. Bundle up. This is in Clifton, right off McMillan. And some of the students walking around, and I'm sure heading to the library to go to class, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course. Temperatures today topping out into the lower 30s at about 32. The morning low was 12 degrees, well below the averages, -4 and 70 the records. It's right now 25 degrees, 55% the humidity, and the easterly wind at 9 is providing for a 12-degree wind chill. The pressure is rising in the river level on the way down now. It's at 49.3 feet, having crested this morning, and it'll continue to drop over the next several days. Plenty of sun around the area today, but watch the clouds out to the west, work eastward pretty quickly. Now we have quite a bit of dry air over us at this time, so it's eating away at some of those clouds, but eventually those clouds will overspread the area. In fact, plenty of high clouds after midnight tonight, and then the clouds anyway, will thicken up tomorrow as this whole storm system out to the west begins to work its way eastward, so that by tomorrow, low pressure will be located over eastern portions of New Mexico, and quite a swath of rain and snow from the Gulf of Mexico northward all the way up through the mid-Mississippi Valley, and it's this storm system we'll watch over the next several days. Here's the projected path, the way it looks right now, along the Gulf Coast region by Tuesday just west of New Orleans, heading up into the panhandle of Florida by Wednesday, and then accelerating a little bit and heading up the eastern seaboard by the end of the week. Now, for most of you that have lived in the area for a while, you'll realize and know that once a low travels this far south, the heaviest snow is to the south and east as well. If we take a path up through Tennessee and the Appalachian chain, that's when we get the bigger snows here in Cincinnati. So here's what it looks like with this storm system, a relatively warm snow. In other words, temperatures in the low to mid-30s during most of this storm system. The heaviest will be off to the east, and with the heaviest being to the east and the temperatures relatively mild, it really should not be a big travel problem. And then behind this storm system, there's mild air to follow, rather than the very cold air that we've had with some of the recent storm systems. So by late tomorrow, we're in cloudy skies, still the precipitation off to the west. So tomorrow's a dry day across the tri-state, but by early Tuesday, a wet snow should begin. But during the day on Tuesday could at times mix with some rain. So high clouds for tonight, a light easterly wind and down to 18. Increasing clouds for your Monday, southeasterly winds at 10 to 15, but it will be milder as we top out at 40 degrees. Some wet snow again developing by late tomorrow night. We'll drop off to 30. And here's your planning forecast then. Off and on rain and some wet snow both Tuesday and Wednesday with highs in the mid-30s. But there's that warmer temperature pattern behind the system by Friday as we warm up into the mid-40s with lows in the 20s. And with this system, I would not be at all surprised to see a covering of snow, some wet, slushy accumulations.
Oh, good.
But again, it's a relatively warm pattern. We shouldn't have any real travel problems. And the heaviest snows will be to the east and southeast of
And they're going to get a bunch, huh?
They're looking to get quite a bit in the Appalachians.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Well, firefighters risk life and limb every day, but you won't believe the heroic steps they took this weekend to save a cherished family member.
And in sports, Kentucky gets a big win today, but was it enough to move them up in the polls? Tim Bray's got the answer coming up on 12 News, your local news source.
This is the ingenious idea behind the new Mercury Cougar. Its interior is designed to wrap around you, to put everything within easy reach.
Including this, a great low price. And now Mercury Cougar's all-new wraparound interior offers standard dual airbag protection and more standard features than before.
So wrap yourself in a new Mercury Cougar. You'll find the attraction is purely physical. At your Lincoln Mercury dealer now.
The high cost of health care, everyone has a part in keeping it down. So we took what you like about Walmart and what you want in a pharmacy and put it right inside your Walmart store. The result?
Walmart's pharmacy department.
With professional service and the low price on every prescription.
So next time, bring it here.
Or ask your doctor to call.
Walmart's pharmacy department, your full-service pharmacy, right inside Walmart. Always the low price, always.
It's the all-new Greater Cincinnati Auto Expo. See the hottest technology in sports cars, luxury sedans, minivans, trucks, and four-wheel drive. Plus, the latest new models, equipment, and accessories on the market, featuring futuristic concept cars like the Aviat, Sunfire, and even TV's morph car, the Viper Defender. Over 400 vehicles. Plus, register to win a Bahamas vacation. The future is here at the all-new Auto Expo, Cincinnati Convention Center, Thursday, February 24th through Wednesday, March 2nd.
It may not look busy, but this Dodge Intrepid is processing 2 million pieces of information per second. Its remarkable computer network constantly analyzes data that helps it choose shift points, optimize fuel economy, even maintain the inside temperature you want. Just think, with 5 seconds left in this commercial, Intrepid still has about 10 million things to do. Dodge Intrepid. This changes everything.
This portion of 12 News is brought to you by State Farm.
Those folks up the road have a good car insurance agent, and they told their neighbors. These folks told their neighbors that same agent was good for life and health insurance, too. And this family recommended the same agent to insure their neighbor's home. Why do so many people end up buying all their insurance from a State Farm agent? Ask a neighbor.
I'm Dale Van Viven, serving all your family insurance needs.
I'm Bruce O'Dell, serving your insurance needs.
I'm Allison Taylor, your good neighbor agent.
Well, Timmy, we're down in the nitty-gritty. We're real close to March Madness here.
Yeah, very, very close. So the last day of February is tomorrow, so I guess it's time, huh? It's time. College basketball heating up. Just 1 week to go now in the regular season. This afternoon at Rupp Arena, the Kentucky Wildcats wanted to avenge a loss to Georgia in early January. Wildcat fans certainly didn't want to see this. Not at all. Travis Ford pulling up lane in the first half. A strained hamstring, didn't return. Look
Look at this. Wildcats turning up the energy. And it's Anthony Epps doing it at both ends of the court. He finds Roderick Rhodes, and he polishes it off with a hoop. Georgia had trouble just getting it out of its own backcourt. UK, that dominating defensively. Tony Delcare finished it off. He had 22 points to lead the way. The Wildcats win at 80-59. This sets up a showdown game Wednesday night with Florida for the lead in the SEC Eastern Division. In the Big Ten today, Minnesota hit on all cylinders and embarrassed the Hoosiers. Randy Carter finishing off this break. Are they pumped up in Gopher land? And Minnesota just continued to pour it on. Vashon Leonard, awesome from the outside. A career-high 35 points. Minnesota blasts IU 106-56, and a real snoozer. It's the Hoosiers' worst loss in 89 years, and one that has Bob Knight nearly speechless.
We didn't really have any movement, and this game was over after about 10 minutes.
The top team in the Mid-American Conference took another step towards the regular season title today. Ohio U has arguably the best player in the state in Gary Trent, and here is why. Watch the super sophomore operating in the paint. Great move, and the reverse slam dunk, and this one really came down to the last few seconds. Game tied, and the Bobcats, Gus Johnson fires it in from the left corner, and the Bobcats win a squeaker on their home floor by a final score of 82-79. George Washington hosting number 11 UMass, and GW goes inside to Yunkadari and the Thunder. The Colonials do it to the Minutemen, and what they did to Xavier 2 weeks ago. They pull the upset here. 77-66 is your final score. Number 22, Marquette hosting DePaul, and the Warriors going inside to their big man. Jim McIlvain uses the baseline. Marquette later works the ball down low to Damon Key, and he will get the hoop here and the foul. The Warriors down the Blue Demons tonight, 70-62. DePaul's next game is Wednesday night with UC in Chicago. Checking out the rest of the college action. Duke retires Grant Hill's number, and they win today. And Syracuse by a point over St. John's. Also this afternoon, UAB wins, and so does Illinois. The latest CNN USA Today poll is out. Arkansas remains atop the ladder. Duke, Connecticut, and North Carolina remain unchanged at 2, 3, and 4. Michigan is number 5, while Missouri climbs to 6. Arizona jumps to 4 notches to number 7. Kentucky, despite 2 wins this week, falls 1 spot to number 8. Louisville is number 9, and Massachusetts rounds out the top 10. Indiana drops to 16, and even with a loss to St. Louis on Wednesday, the Bearcats fall just 1 spot to number 25. And the MCC has released its pairings for its tournament, which starts next Sunday. Number 1 seed is Xavier. They get a bye in the first round. Will play the LaSalle Detroit winner. Number 2 seed is Evansville. They get a first round bye too. They'll play the Butler Loyola winner. MCC tournament is being played in Butler's Hinkle Fieldhouse with the final game on Wednesday, March the 9th. It's on the hockey now, and the Cyclones are in their busiest stretch of the season. 20 games in 34 days. This afternoon, a matinee at the Gardens against the Kansas City Blades. And they're a team that the Cyclones have yet to beat this year. A game tied at 1 early in the second period. Chris Shahaki fires that wrist shot, and it breaks the plane. Clones up 2-1. And later on, it was the Beeline's turn. And Shahaki celebrates here. And from point-blank range, you're going to see Gord Hines take the puck here and feed it off to Patrick LeBeau, and he scores. The Blades, though, 4 unanswered goals, and they come from behind to beat the Cyclones by a final score of 5-3. Now, the hockey game with the national attention was Sweden and Canada shooting for gold. In the overtime shootout, this is Sweden's Peter Forsberg. He puts it by the Canadian tender, and Canada has a chance, though, to keep this shootout going. Here he comes. This is Paul Carina. The shot denied, and Sweden captures its first ever gold in hockey. And so the games of the 17th Olympics come to an end. Several bright spots in these games, including Dan Jansen capturing his first gold medal, skier Tommy Moe becoming a household name, and Bonnie Blair stealing the entire show as the most decorated U.S. female in the Winter Games. Several low spots, including the U.S. bobsled team. They finished 1 spot behind Jamaica, and the American hockey team finished 8th, and that's their worst ever finish. The Americans had their best ever showing, though, at the Winter Games. They captured 13 medals, the host country, Norway, leading the pack, taking home 26 total medals. All right, let's go on to the NASCAR circuit now. It's the Goodwrench 500, and the defending champion, Rusty Wallace, once again capturing the checkered flag. Sterling Marlin, who won at Daytona last week, came in second today, and that keeps him 20 points ahead of Ernie Irvin in the Winston Cup standings. And so a lot going on today, and I can tell you, too, in golf, the international team won the Chrysler Cup, and Craig Stadler won on his home course, his home turf, the Walrus, at San Diego.
Big win for him.
All right. Thanks very much, Tim. Inmates, more than 1,500 people, are out of their homes tonight in Burlington, North Dakota, where a train carrying chemicals derailed and caught fire. 26 of the 59-car Canadian Pacific train came off the tracks. One car carrying propane caught fire. Firefighters are trying to keep the blaze from spreading to another tank car containing a flammable solvent. 2 people have been injured. Inmates at a federal prison in Colorado went on a rampage setting fires in a chapel and education building. The disturbance began in a recreation yard of the newly opened facility, which is already over capacity. No shots were fired and no prison staff were injured, although some inmates sustained minor injuries. Tonight, all of the prisoners are back under lock and key.
People in Virginia are locking up their dogs and cats, hiding their poultry and livestock in barns to protect them from airborne rustlers. Stafford County is overrun by meat-eating vultures. So far, the flock of about 200 birds have killed ducks, attacked a variety of different animals. Naturalists say the vultures are more aggressive this year because their food supply is buried in snow and ice. There isn't too much people can do right now because the vultures are protected by federal law. Milwaukee firefighters deserve a pat on the back for coming to the aid of a tiny fire victim. Inside this burning house, they discovered Bubbles the cat overcome by smoke. They lifted the cat out, put it on a stretcher, and revived it with a little oxygen.
As he came around, then he got up, and then he hissed at me. So I knew he was okay then.
Yeah, he's okay. Bubbles expected to make a complete recovery, but has to give up one of its 9 lives.
And probably was wondering what was going on, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of year again when America finally gets its favorite cookies.
But just how many Girl Scout cookies can you eat? We'll see if you can stomach this next on 12 News, your local news source.
Temperatures are rising, there's a fever in the air, and your local Nissan dealers are responsible with red-hot deals on some of the hottest cars on the road, like the sizzling lineup of Nissan sedans, the amazingly affordable Sentra, the ultra-luxurious Maxima, and of course the award-winning Nissan Altima GXE, with a lease of just $229 a month for 36 months, with $750 down. Nissan's Spring Fever sales event. You've got the fever, your local Nissan dealer's got the cure.
M.I. Homes believes there's a lot more to building quality into a house than talk, like caring about who's going to live there. The professionals at Airtron are experts at providing indoor comfort. Airtron installs and services quality Bryant heating and cooling systems. When it comes to durability and the best warranties in the industry, turn to AE Door Sales. They sell the best and service the rest.
Home is a 2-letter word, M-I.
Have you ever wondered what happens to your deposits at Provident Bank? We invest your money back into our community. The loans Provident Bank makes to local businesses help build factories, educate our children, build our homes, and create jobs that are so important to all of us. The Provident Bank and you, making it right here in Greater Cincinnati.
Making it in America starts right here at home.
The Olympic Games feature our nation's best. Now, your Jeep and Eagle dealers are featuring theirs during the Jeep and Eagle National Drive for the Gold sale. Buy or lease Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo at special savings. Buy or lease Eagle Vision. Get $500 cash back on Eagle Talon and up to $500 back on Summit. So drive for the gold at your dealer now and drive away a winner.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer for the best in automotive sales, service, and value.
I can never be free, dear, but when I'm with you, please help me, I'm falling in love with you.
Watch Watch for falling prices at Walmart all over the store. Walmart, always the low price, always.
Well, it's that time of year, and little Girl Scouts in green dresses are delivering brightly boxed cookies at your doorstep. And in New Mexico, an unusual cookie contest. Young and old alike are gobbling them up with a vengeance. The Girl Scout cookie eating contest had some pretty enthusiastic competitors, including some of the University of New Mexico linemen.
Jeez.
In fact, the crown king of Girl Scout cookie chomping was a UNM lineman, Alex Crowder. Crowder managed to down 56 cookies in a whole bucket of milk in just 1 minute. His first place prize, a whole case of Girl Scout cookies. And Brad is already into this box.
Look at this. I can't believe he did that.
Brad wants to compare that.